Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another MedFit Education Foundation webinar. We are here once again with a very exciting topic. Our title for today, Rebooting the Mind-Body Connection for Empowered Living. Sounds good to me. I want some of that. Presented by Brianna Bragg, founder of Vacation of the Mind. Our guest for today is Brianna Bragg. As mentioned, she is the founder of Vacation of the Mind, which is a mental wellness company dedicated to helping 1 million people or more reduce stress, refocus the mind, lead healthier and happier lifestyles through practical techniques of nature-centered mindfulness and medication. She's the author of the Journey into Tranquility series and course, and she uses that three-step process of breathe, refocus, journey, and curating journeys, guided journeys that connect people in nature and stillness. Brianna, it's great to have you back. We appreciate everything that you do for us here at the MedFit Network and MedFit Education Foundation. And without further ado, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate that warm, wonderful introduction.
Very
It's
welcome.
an amazing honor and pleasure to be a part of MedFit and to be here with each of you today. Thank you all for being here. As Brian said, I'm Brianna Bragg. I'm a conscious transformation specialist and meditation teacher and instructor. I've been teaching meditation for over 10 years, and I have been teaching teachers now for over 5 years. And it truly is a passion to be able to share, what I have learned through my journey with others who are looking to change their lives and live a life from a place of calm. So just a little bit of background about me. I came from the digital marketing space in 1 second. Let me make sure there we go. I came from the digital marketing space where I started my first company, and that was back before Facebook is what it is today, when social media was just starting up. And I helped companies run their digital platforms, mostly on social media, writing blogs, things like that. 4 short years into that business, I had clients all over the world. I was very successful and running a thriving business, but unfortunately, my health had to suffer. I came down with a lot of different things. Unfortunately, it was adrenal fatigue, it was IBS, and I became bedridden for 3 months. And this really started me on my journey of understanding what it means to be successful, but to do it in a place where we're also healthy and balanced and aligned with our purpose. And now I teach others how to do that. So thankfully, I was able to recover from that illness. And it took me about 9 months to, fully get back on track from that. I was in and out of doctor's appointments, my goodness, 3 or 4 times a week trying to figure out what was going on. And the culprit was all stress. And so now I teach people how to be successful, how to live a thriving life while also being balanced, being aligned with your purpose, and doing it from a place where you're a little less calm and not so reactive. So I'm excited to share what we're going to be talking about today is rebooting the mind-body connection. I'm excited to share this content with you, but before we get started, I'd like to invite you to just take a moment to pause. And I'm going to lead us through a short guided breathing exercise just to center yourself and bring you into this present moment. So I invite you to place your feet flat against the floor, palms facing down if you'd like to feel more grounded, and palms facing up if you'd like to feel more open. I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze to a spot in front of you. As you take a deep inhale through the nose, exhaling out of the mouth with a big sigh. Releasing any tension or tightness that you might be holding in the body. Taking another deep inhale through the nose. Releasing, letting go out of the mouth with a big sigh. Just releasing whatever you've dealt with today. And we'll take another deep inhale through the nose. Exhaling out of the mouth with a big sigh. And bringing yourself fully into this present moment. As you focus your attention and awareness to your inhale and your exhale. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. With each inhale that you take, you feel the air as it glides through your nose, down your throat, into your chest, into your abdomen, expanding your lungs with fresh oxygen, providing vitality and life to the body. Our breath is our life force. And with each exhale that you take, you fully release all of the air, letting it all go. As you release the air, you also release any tension or tightness that you might be holding in the body. Giving yourself permission to allow the body to relax, allowing the mind to calm. As you solely focus your awareness to your breath, breathing deeply, exhaling and letting go. Unclenching your jaw, relaxing your neck and your shoulders, relaxing your abdomen, your legs and your feet. And just giving yourself permission to be here in this present moment with nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. Beautiful. And one more deep inhale through the nose. As you exhale, rest a soft smile on your lips. Gratitude in your heart, thankful for this moment you made for you. And when you're ready, you can begin to bring your attention and awareness back into your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes, maybe stretching a little bit, moving a little bit. Awesome. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and fully come back. Thank you for taking that moment to pause. This is really what the mind-body connection is all about, and what it means to reset and reboot the mind-body. So today we're going to be covering a few things. The first thing we're going to be covering is how we are our programming. In everything that I teach, I find it extremely important to help people understand why they do what they do in order to be able to use the tools that are available to shift from why we do what we do into a different state. We're also going to be talking a little bit more about what the mind-body connection is, the brain and neuroplasticity, and we're just going to cover this at a very high level. We're not going to dive too deep. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with a few tips on how you can begin to reprogram your mind to live an empowered life. You know, a lot of us dream of living this amazing life, but what happens is these programs continue to show up that keep us feeling stuck, or keep us complacent, or keep us in habits and routines on a daily basis that aren't actually supporting the life that we've been dreaming of living. So today, I'm going to show you how you can actually reprogram the mind to live an empowered life. So let's talk about we are our programming. What does this mean? Well, we have two parts of the mind. We've got the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. In the conscious mind, it's the awareness mind. It's the part of our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors, our reactions that we're actually aware of. Our subconscious mind, however, is what we're not consciously aware of. And we're running all of these programs in the subconscious mind that we learned from our environment, ages 0 to 7. What does that mean? Well, our conscious mind isn't actually online until about the age of 7. Our subconscious mind, however, as we're a baby and we're a young child, is like a sponge, and it's constantly learning from its environment, from parents or the household that you grew up in or the environment you grew up in, schooling, maybe if you were involved in any kind of organizations, religious organizations, maybe you went to church or you went to a certain type of school. Your neighbors, right? If your family was close with your neighbors, all of the people that were around you, basically from the time of conception to the time to age 7, your subconscious mind is just this little sponge that's soaking up all of this information from around you. And from the information that it's collecting, it's developing belief systems, it's developing thought patterns, it's actually developing emotional responses as well, and behaviors and personalities form. Now, what we learn from ages 0 to 7 then runs for the rest of our life. Those belief systems stick with us, those thought patterns stick with us, right? And those emotional patterns that show up when, like, this is one of the reasons why, as we're an adult, when we feel triggered, we have an emotional response. And most of the time, that emotional response is actually coming from something that we learned from very early on in our life. So as we continue to grow, yes, we do adopt some new information, but the subconscious mind is a habit mind. It doesn't like change. It likes rituals and habits. It likes what's familiar. It likes what's comfortable to it. So, and the conscious mind, on the contrary, loves change. It's where our ideas come from. It's where our creativity comes from. It loves to adapt to new information and to have knowledge and, learn from books and people. But what happens is, as we continue to get older, we become very set in these thought patterns that are running, these, belief systems that we have that, again, have come from those ages of 0 to 7. And we call that running on autopilot, because by the time we're age 40, we have over 40,000 thoughts that run through our mind on a daily basis. And of those thoughts, 95% of them are in the subconscious mind. So we're actually only aware of about 5% of the thoughts that are running through our mind on a daily basis. Furthermore, our subconscious mind governs 80 to 85% of our day. So as we're doing things in life, most of the things that we're doing in life are actually being done from our subconscious mind and not our conscious mind. Now, when you think about that for a moment, if 80 to 85% of our day is run by the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind formed its belief systems, its habits, its thought patterns from ages 0 to 7, what programming are you running on? So I'm going to give you this example to think about the conscious and subconscious mind. It's like a computer. If you buy a computer, a brand new computer, and you have it shipped to you, if that computer doesn't come with any programs on it, chances are you can't even turn it on, right? Chances are you can't run, you're definitely not running Word, you're definitely not running Excel, because those programs have not been installed into the computer. But once you put those programs onto the computer, now you can utilize those programs. So we're very similarly, our programs we download from the ages of 0 to 7, and then we run on them sometimes for the rest of our lives. And unless you actually take time in your life to ask what programs you're running on, where did this belief system come from, what thought pattern is showing up, and why do I have this, chances are you might be running on outdated programming. But the good news is we don't have to continue to run on that outdated programming. We can choose to update our programming anytime we want. So let's talk a little bit about the mind-body connection. The mind governs everything in our body. our mind actually controls our body. So we used to think that the mind and the body were separate. We used to think that these were two completely separate beings and we needed to treat them as such. But the latest research in the mind-body connection area shows that our body reacts to the way that we think, the way that we feel, and the way that we act. And that good emotional health has the awareness to our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, and we learn to cope with stress and problems in a healthy way, both for the mind and the body. So a lot of times we talk about physical fitness. We talk about how important it is to eat healthy and have nutrition. We talk about how important it is to, work out and get exercise, or, go for a walk or go for a hike. But what we haven't as a society talked a lot about or educated a lot on is that mental health component, that it's also important to train the mind and exercise the mind so that the mind can also support the healthy body. Another statement here from a neuroscientist, that in mind-body medicine, the mind and body now are not seen as separately functioning entities, but as one functioning unit. The mind and emotions are viewed as influencing the body, and in turn, the body influences the mind and the emotions. So it's really important to understand how the mind and body work together and that they are one. So what's going on up here, those subconscious programs that are running in the mind are going to affect the body, and the body is going to respond. Now let's talk a little bit about the brain's role in all of this, because we have the mind and the brain. I like to think of these two as a computer, and using a computer scenario again, as the brain is the hardware and the mind is the software. So what you're putting into the brain is how the brain is going to function. Now, the great thing about the brain that we know of, I remember when I was younger, it used to be taught that, the brain can't change, it's not malleable, it's once you have all of your neurons and all of your brain cells, it's going to stay that way. But what's awesome about where we are as a society today is we have all of this technology that we can actually figure out that no, that's not true. You can also change the structure of the brain. So we know that we have these neurons in the brain. They're these little connectors. I like to think of them as little connectors or highways in the brain. And we know now through research that the neurons that fire together wire together. So ages 0 to 7, if you're putting in programs that are limiting, that are disempowering, self-limiting, that are negative, if some of your environment was negative, then those are the wires, the neurons that have fired together and have become wired together. So for example, now in your adult life, if, when you do something, make a mistake, or, you do something that's like, oh man, whoops, I maybe shouldn't have done it that way. This is one of the reasons why we have that negative self-talk, because in our environment, when we were young, we were soaking that in. We were soaking in somebody saying, I'm such an idiot. Right? Or I'm so stupid. Have you heard people say that, or have you said it to yourself? Because those neurons have fired together and now they're wired together. But through the study of neuroplasticity, we've seen that we can actually change the structure of our neurons. Now I like to think of the neuron system in our brain as a highway, right? And the neural pathways are the highways of the brain, and our thoughts are the little cars that drive on those highways. And imagine if you have gotten up and driven to an office every day of your life for 20 years. You've driven to the same office. You've taken the same highway. Every single day, you just wake up and you drive on that same highway to this office, and then you get in your car on the way home and you drive home. Chances are you can be on autopilot throughout this drive. You don't really have to pay attention to where you're going, because because it's automatic. You've done it every single day. But now, what if you get on that road one day and one morning you're on your way to work and the whole entire highway is closed down? The entire highway is closed. You've never taken another way to work, and now you have to find a back way into this office. Now you've got to turn on the GPS. Now you've really got to pay attention to the road. You have to, really think about, where am I going, and do I need to make this right turn or this left turn, and things don't look the same. Well, reprogramming the mind is very simple, or is very similar, because our brain has these neural pathways, these neurons that have been firing together and wiring together over the course of our life. It's been on autopilot. Our thoughts have just been, those cars have just been driving down the same neural pathways, the highways of the brain, every single day without ever thinking about it. But when you begin to do work to reprogram the mind, well, now you're taking that back way. Right? You're actually creating a new neural pathway. And now you really have to work at it. It's like going to the gym for the first time. You don't get that super toned body. You don't walk in there lifting the heaviest weights the first few times you go. In fact, it may take weeks. And that's what mental exercises do for us, is it trains the brain and trains the mind to create new neural pathways, new highways in the brain that over time, with consistency and repetition, begin to fire together and wire together. And as these new habits are formed, as these new highways in the brain are formed, that's when we actually start to see the change. So neuroplasticity, the study of neuroplasticity, shows us that it is possible to change the structure of our brain. They have actually been able to hook us up and see that we can change the neural pathways of the brain, the neurons that are firing together and wiring together, through certain exercises that we can bring into our life and bring into our habits and our routines. So the mind-body connection is that we have a thought, we have emotions, and we have a chemical reaction feedback loop. And just briefly covering on this as well, our thoughts stimulate an emotion, which then stimulates a chemical reaction. So we have this little spot in the back of the brain called the amygdala. And the amygdala is basically, it's designed to take in stimulus from our external environment and tell the hippocampus, which is the part of the body that triggers the chemical reactions in our body, yes, we are good to go, we're safe, everything around us looks good, or no, we're in fear, we're in danger, we actually need to get out of this. And back in the caveman days, we call this fight, flight, or freeze. It used to be, if we saw a bear, if we saw an animal while we were out hunting or whatever, this would stimulate that thought, emotional, chemical reaction, that fight, flight, or freeze. But what's happened in today's society is that we have become so overwhelmed and so good at multitasking, and we have all of this stimulus coming in from our external environment that like 80 to 85% of our day, we're actually being triggered that we're in danger. And then our thoughts begin to spiral from one negative thought to the next negative thought to the next negative thought, which creates an emotional reaction, which could create anger, frustration, stress, feeling overwhelmed, sadness. And those types of emotions then trigger a chemical reaction, which releases cortisol and adrenaline into the body. And cortisol and adrenaline are great hormones for keeping us out of danger. They're wonderful for short little pumps that, help us run from the bear, right? But when we've got 50 bears at a time coming at us because of all the stimulus that's coming in from our external environment, now the body is on overload. And then when this is happening 80 to 85% of our day, and we're not giving our mind and body time to pause, to reboot, to reconnect and realign, then we're living in a state of cortisol and stress pretty much consistently. And that's why it's really important to take time to pause, to take time to learn how to train the brain to think differently, to learn how to train the mind to think differently, so that in those moments when you have that bear, whatever that bear might look like to you, maybe it's a stack of paperwork on your desk, maybe it's an angry client, maybe you're in a transition in your life, maybe it's the bills that are due, whatever that bear is to you, it's important to learn how to manage this thought, emotion, chemical reaction feedback loop loop so that you're not spending your day 80 to 85% of your day in a stressed out, overwhelmed state, but you can learn how to give the body rest and relaxation. Because when we live in that stress and overwhelmed state, it reduces our immune system and it makes us more susceptible to diseases and to sickness. So how can we begin to reprogram the mind? Well, I'm glad you asked. One of the most amazing tools for reprogramming the mind, and also one of the easiest, is affirmations. Affirmations have been scientifically shown to reprogram the mind. Now, the thing is this is not just about thinking positively and all your entire life is going to change. There are different ways to utilize affirmations. And again, it's the repetition and the consistency that develop over time. So I like to look at all three of these options as mental exercises for the mind and the brain. And just like going to the gym when you're lifting weights or you're doing squats or you're going to that class and you're training your body to look a different way, to be a different way, to feel a different way, you're training your muscles. We have a mind muscle as well that has to be trained. And so if you're running on all of this programming that you've never paused and said, what is the programming I'm running on? Why do I have this belief system? What are the thoughts that are running through my head? And where did they come from? And then learning to bring the mind and the body back into realignment, into balance with yourself, then chances are you're just living life in a chaotic state, and it's hard to create the life that you've been dreaming of living, that you want to live from a place of chaos. I can attest to that because I had to have a whole full body breakdown and burnout before I actually began to learn how to be successful, how to live life thriving, not just surviving, but in a place of bliss instead of in a place of always overwhelmed. So affirmations, you can see right behind me, this finger right here, which way does it go? There we go. Right behind me is my affirmations wall. I have a whole wall in my house or in my room, I should say, and then I have them throughout my room. I've been utilizing affirmations for over 10 years, and they work beautifully. But the thing about affirmations for reprogramming is it's not that you're just going to repeat an affirmation one time and then all of a sudden everything's great and that 40 or 50 or 60 years of programming is gone and boom, you've rewired those neural pathways. Affirmations work with consistency. They must be believable. You know, if you're doing an affirmation that the subconscious mind can't actually believe, chances are it's going to be like, yeah, no, actually, I'm going to stay over here in my habit. I'm going to stay over here in what's comfortable to me. So affirmations can be used. A couple of great ways to utilize affirmations too are utilizing I am statements. So one of my affirmations that I do every morning is I am a queen of creation. And I love this affirmation. It's super simple. I also have an affirmation that I got from Louise Hayes that says, I accept myself. I accept myself. And another one is I am enough, right? So these are some with like self-worthy affirmations, being able to create on command. And the other thing about affirmations is if you do them while you're like bouncing on a ball, doing jumping jacks, doing hip circles, that's going to raise your vibration to meet the vibration of the affirmation. Let's talk about the second way to reprogram the mind is through visualization. Visualization is a very, very powerful tool. Again, going back to the conscious and subconscious mind, you can use the conscious mind to reprogram the subconscious mind so that they're working in unity and working in alignment. And these are ways to utilize the conscious mind to reprogram the subconscious. Now, the subconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's not real. So that's the beauty of visualization. It's mental imagery, actually planting images inside of your mind into your subconscious of what you are seeking in your life. It's really important you don't do this for what you don't want in your life. Same with the affirmations, because if you're putting in what you don't want, the subconscious mind is going to go to work to attract that and find a solution. It's a very solutions-driven part of the mind. So with visualizations, it's important to program what you do want. And through mental imagery, it's like playing a movie over and over and over in your mind and get really clear about what is the movie that you want to be in your life. So for me, I wanted to live in Costa Rica. I wanted to be close to nature. I wanted to, be able to get out and hike and, be with community. And I made that dream possible about 6 weeks ago when I made the decision to move here from Tulum, Mexico, actually. So a dream of mine in my 20s was always to travel the world and see beautiful, amazing places throughout the world. And then as I grew in my meditation practice and grew with Vacation of the Mind, and I altered that a little bit. I said, I want to travel to the most beautiful places in the world and have amazing experiences and then bring those experiences to people in their mind. That's what Vacation of the Mind is all about, which is nature-centered meditation. And I have been making that reality I've been creating that as my reality for the last 2 years, even in the midst of the craziness that we've been going on. And these are daily habits and rituals that I do every single day. The third way that I have here for reprogramming the mind is through meditation. Meditation is such a powerful tool to, again, reconnect and realign the mind and the body. Meditation is shown to have immense benefits, such as improving cardiovascular health, lowering cholesterol. It helps improve the immune system. It boosts the immune system. It actually, deep breathing and conscious breathing helps improve lung function. It's also got a lot of amazing benefits for work-related items as well. It helps to increase our productivity, helps us to increase our mental clarity, our focus, and can also help us be more creative. And meditation, I hear this a lot from the clients or the people that I work with. They say, I can't meditate, I can't quiet my mind. Again, yes, you can. It's just about exercising the mind. It's just about retraining the mind and the brain to learn how to meditate. And meditation isn't all about quieting the mind. There's so many different styles of meditation, and there's also a lot of different techniques in meditation, one being observing your thoughts instead of trying to just push them away and get rid of them. So, and one of the things that research shows is with meditation that even just reconnecting the mind and body through breath, like we did at the beginning of this presentation, where we just took a few moments to pause and slow down our breathing and to come into alignment with ourselves and into the present moment, just 2 minutes of that a day, 2 minutes, can reduce cortisol levels by 800% in our daily activities and in our daily life. So just 2 minutes of focused breathing. So when I work with people, if you're new to meditation, I say, start with just breathing. Conscious, focused breathing. A great technique for that is inhaling for a count of 4, long, slow, deep inhalations, exhaling for a count of 4, long, slow, deep exhalations, a count, not seconds. And bringing the breath into alignment will help to reconnect the mind and the body, bringing it back into alignment. And just 2 to 5 minutes of this a day can help you feel rejuvenated. Or if you're in the afternoon and you're feeling like, oh man, I'm not focused, I'm not creative, just sit and breathe for 2 to 5 minutes, and this can significantly begin to shift and change your state and help you feel more creative, help you be more focused, help you be more productive. So meditation is an amazing, amazing, amazing tool to really help connect the mind and body. So our thoughts create our reality. Our mind tells our body what to do. And if everything starts as a thought in the mind, then what are you thinking? What are the thoughts that are playing through your head on a daily basis? Because those thoughts are showing up in your reality, whether you want to admit that or not. what we think up here becomes our reality. So when you're starting your journey on understanding what programs you're running on, what thought processes and patterns are you running on, one of the simplest ways you can begin to identify what those thought patterns are, what's happening up here that's creating our existence out in our external world, is to wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror. Go look at yourself in the mirror and just pause and listen to what you say to yourself in the mirror. This is a great way to begin to practice awareness of what thoughts are running through your head on a daily basis. And this will lead you into other thoughts that are going on throughout your day. But every time you look in the mirror, even, you can just pause and become aware of what's running through your head. So for me, I used to have crazy body image issues. They came from my mother as a child. And every time I would look at myself, even when I had this total body breakdown, the doctor says I was considered anorexic. I had lost a ton of weight. I couldn't hold food in my body. He said, I would go to the mirror and I would say to myself, if you lost 10 pounds, you'd look great in that outfit. Or, oh my gosh, Bree, did you get any sleep last night? Those dark circles under your eyes. Wow, I was such an inner critic to myself. I was a bully to myself. But now I wake up in the morning and I say, good morning, beautiful. You look amazing today. And you're a rock star, you're a powerhouse, and you are going to have an awesome, successful day. Now, I'm not saying that I don't wake up some days and I'm like, oh man, it's one of those days. But you can also utilize affirmations and utilize raising your vibration to reprogram even those days. You can dance around to some music until you get your vibe up. So through the practice of awareness of our thoughts, awareness of our emotions, when we feel triggered, why do we feel triggered? Where does this trigger come from? How is it showing up for us? When we feel certain emotions, not just trying to push those emotions away, but understanding those emotions and sitting with those emotions. Through this practice of awareness, we can begin to identify what programs we're running on and then begin to utilize these tools to rewire our neural pathways, to create new habits, to create new thought patterns, and to even understand our emotional state at a deeper level, on a more intimate level. So if you're seeking a different reality, or you want to make some changes in your life, you have some big goals that you're working on, or you want to make a move or go through this transition, or do something else, I highly encourage updating your programming so that you're not continuing to carry the same programs into this new life that you're creating. I have no idea what time it is because I cannot see my clock on the computer, and so I think I'm doing well in terms of time. We'll just recap here with a moment that we have some courses coming soon in the MedFit community. I'm super excited to have these available for you. We're going to have a meditation specialist course where you can become a meditation instructor and learn how to actually teach meditation, to add it into your practice. And also you'll learn on your own how to meditate as well. I go through a 3-step process on this, which is breathe, refocus, and journey. Go into stillness, and breathing to calm the central nervous system, refocusing the mind. It offers several techniques for refocusing the mind, and then how to actually enter into a meditative state, into that state of stillness, and expand that for a little while, and then how to teach it. We also have 2 mini courses that are coming available, Control Alt Delete, which is a deeper dive into the content that I was talking about today on reprogramming the subconscious mind. I do talk about more techniques for reprogramming the subconscious mind in that, and also how you can practice those techniques. I'm a huge believer in practical, easy ways to do this work. And then lastly, the awareness course is coming soon as well, which is how to actually practice awareness. And I go through about 20 different scenarios that you encounter on a daily basis and talk about how to freeze frame in that moment, how to pause and practice awareness. And then you can also utilize these courses to teach your clients and add these things on into your wellness practice as well. So thank you so much for your time today, and I'm going to hand this back over to Brian.
All right. Thank you again very much. It's always great. I really enjoyed and needed the little breath of fresh air at the beginning that kind of set the tone for everything that you had to say. So thank you very much for that on a personal level, and I'm sure the audience echoes me in saying that as well. So we do have a few questions here, and one of them is, look, this is the age-old question: meditation. How can we meditate? How do we meditate? Where do we start? Anyways, like what does it consist of? Maybe take us to the ground floor of that, and just kind of give us one simple thing that it could be.
Yeah, I love this question and I get it all the time. And just so you guys know, I am on YouTube. I do have some meditations on YouTube. Actually, I just launched my personal YouTube channel. It's Bree Bragg. So if you're looking for some guided meditations, you can certainly go there. Vacation of the Mind has some nature-centered meditations as well. But everything, so the number one thing that I teach is that we can't quiet the mind. We hear meditation is all about quieting the mind, calming the mind, thinking about no thing, right? It's really hard to do that when the body is in a stressed out state. So if you're starting a practice with meditation, I highly encourage you to just focus on your breath. Inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 4. I know that this sounds so simple that it's like too good to be true, but I promise it works because the breath controls everything in the body. So when we're in a stressed out state or in an overwhelmed state, we tend to breathe very shallowly like this, when we're angry or upset, we tend to breathe very shallowly, which actually keeps us in a more stressed out state. So when we slow the body down and inhale and exhale for a count of 4, and we slow that breathing down, that's really us bringing the mind and body back into alignment and connection with itself. Now, I like to count, I like to teach and count from 4 backwards because this is a little mind hack. This is also a refocusing technique that when you have racing thoughts, the counting from 4, 3, 2, 1, the counting backwards actually triggers the mind to go, wait a minute, I have to think about what I'm counting to. And it also stops the mind from going, where are we stopping, right? Because if you're counting up 1, 2, 3, 4, the mind is like, are we going to go to 10? Are we going to go to 15? So when you're counting down, it stops the mind from wondering to what we're counting to, and then it really like triggers the brain to have to think about what we're counting. So that's also a refocusing technique to help you not spiral into your thoughts. And then another technique that I teach is just like, it's the darkness technique, which is just coming to the stillness right between your closed eyes. So if you breathe for 2 to 5 minutes and then just practice coming to the stillness behind your closed eyes for as long as you can hold it, then those are 2 great places to start with meditation. And just, I know I'm talking a lot here, but one other thing, it's like training a dog, right? When you get a new puppy and you throw the ball for the first time, you're not going to quiet your mind. So just think of your mind as you're training a dog. When your thoughts flood in, just give your mind that little treat and throw the ball again and give it the treat and bring it back.
I love it. I love it. Do I have to be seated position to meditate? Can I meditate while I walk? Can I do it in nature? Can I watch a bird feeder? Maybe I don't know why I said bird feeder, but it's very meditative to me. I like watching the action in nature. Does it have to be done in the traditional sense or the way that people would always imagine it be, crisscross applesauce on a cushion of some sort and, zoning out with the
Right.
something like that, right?
I love this question too, because absolutely not, no way. You do not have to meditate in a certain position. I love my morning meditations in bed. Sometimes I sit up because there is research that shows when you sit up, obviously you can breathe deeper, you can really get that diaphragmatic breathing happening. My light is flickering. I don't know what's going on, so we're just gonna leave it off. So, when you sit up, obviously you can breathe a little bit better, but laying down is also a great position. Walking meditation, really focusing on the steps that you're taking. How hard are you walking or how light are you walking? That can be another one. And then nature meditation is my personal favorite meditation, which is what Vacation of the Mind is all about. Getting into nature and just really zoning into. So, at the essence of this, meditation is a mental exercise that trains the brain to think, process, and react differently. And what you really want to do with meditation is refocus to something or to nothing. So if you're in nature, refocusing to something like watching the waves of the beach, right? And just sitting there and just really watching, like really consciously focusing in on the waves of the beach, or watching a bird in the tree, or watching that waterfall or the ripples across the lake. That's refocusing the mind and just kind of letting everything else go and really honing in, and that will train those neural pathways to refocus.
Great. I did have a question on something that you brought up, and it just popped into our question box here. And this is a question from Linda. She says, what does vibration and sound do for meditation? And that was when you were going through it, you said bouncing on a ball. Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So bouncing on a ball will actually raise your vibrational frequency to meet with the affirmations. Meditation, there's a lot of studies happening right now with meditation and nature sounds. Listening to nature sounds also brings our cortisol levels down. Also, there's oh my goodness, Hertz frequency music. I was like, what is the term? My brain almost blinked out. Hertz frequency music, which is a really powerful tool to also listen to while you're meditating. And what Hertz frequency music does is it actually plays the same sound at a like a reversed, how do I say this? It plays the same sound but like opposite, so that your brain has to balance when you're listening to it, and it's activating certain parts of your brain that aren't activated on a daily basis. So Hertz frequency music is great for listening to while you're meditating, or listening to nature sounds, or you can listen to nothing at all.
Or the sound of your breath.
Or the sound of your breath, yes.
There you go.
Or my
Okay.
voice if you listen to me on YouTube.
Okay. Linda then asked, can you spell that? So Hertz, just Hertz, frequency, music, meditation. I'm sure if you Googled something along that line, you'd find it.
Yeah,
It's
there's a lot. I highly suggest 528 and 432 for Hertz frequency music. If you YouTube that, you're going to find a ton of information. Meditative Mind is one of my favorites. They're a great, they've got a lot of content out there, and they're just really great.
Okay, good. All right. I had some questions. When we talk about change and taking yourself out of that stressed out mind, or the whatever we had wired ourselves to between the ages of 0 and 7, so we considering change, we want to make some change. We know that it's not the way that it should be or has to be. So where does it begin? Is it with generally with our thoughts? Is it with our emotion? Does action drive the emotion of things and the change in it? Where would you say that the maybe the number one place to start, is it your thoughts?
Yeah, it's your thoughts, because everything begins as a thought. Every emotion that we have, when you really start practicing awareness in your life, you'll be able to begin to understand and identify that every emotion that you have is a thought. It starts as a thought that then triggers the emotion, and then triggers whatever that reaction is in the body. So again, I love to do the mirror technique. If you're new to practicing awareness of your thoughts, or the other thing that you can do is, like, when you have a task that's really hard, you can tune in at that moment when you have that task that's really difficult. For me, I just started kettlebell training, and I've been hiking the mountains right outside of my house. And like the first few days, I was like, oh man, I can't do this. I was like, whoa, where did this I can't come from, you know?
Right,
So
right.
start paying attention to like, what is the internal dialogue? What is the conversation you're having with yourself inside? And you'll be able to start really through awareness, understand how that's affecting everything else around you, your emotions, your behaviors, your triggers. And I do want to say this about when you start practicing awareness of your thoughts. Um, have some patience with yourself and learn to laugh at yourself, because most of the time what you find when you begin to practice this is that you're not really nice to yourself, and that
Right.
can be a little sad in the beginning, because it's like, oh man, I'm like a really big bully to myself.
That's right. We would never speak to anyone else the way we speak to ourselves, or rarely. I hope you wouldn't. Because it's
Exactly.
we're supposed to be our best ally, and sometimes it's not the case. And I love that. I always ask people when I'm speaking, what's the first thing you consume in the morning, and they usually say water, or they consume breakfast, or and I say no, it's your thoughts. You consume them. They're nourishment just the same, for better or worse. And there are definitely some things that could an early morning positive thought like you have on your board behind you, or a late in the day positive thought, whatever it is, it can really set the tone for whatever it is that you're doing. I'm a runner. I'm a marathon runner, and I get into some places late in races, and where you're not feeling so well, and if your brain goes south, you're gonna go south in a hurry. So I am perfection. I am healthy. I am strong. I say that 1,000 times as I finish the
Oh,
races.
I love that. I
Uh,
love
that's
that.
that's
That's awesome.
yeah, that's mine, and boy, has it bailed me out of some tough spots. So a couple more questions here. Have you had experience with EMDR in therapy or neural reprogramming? What would you recommend that as well? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. I actually went through about 4 years ago. I had suicidal depression that I was battling, and I love EMDR. I did some of that to come out of that depression and depressive state. It's a really powerful, really amazing tool, especially if you're, looking to categorize something away in the subconscious mind that you don't really ever want to tap back into.
Mm,
It's an amazing tool for that. I highly recommend it. And neural linguistic programming is another one. I mean, there's so many tools. In the Control Alt Delete course, I do go through a lot more tools and techniques that are available. I'm not certified in all of them, but I do provide places where people can go, if they're looking for a deeper dive with certain things as well.
excellent, excellent. You give them the information that they need.
Yes.
Um, do you know about pranic healing? If so, could you touch upon it?
Yeah, so pranic healing is really utilizing the breath. From what I understand of it, I am not a teacher of this, but I have several friends who are, and I have attended several of their, classes, workshops, events, things like that. So it's really utilizing the breath. It works a lot with the breath of fire to heal the body. So yeah, it's an amazing tool as well, just like quantum healing is also such an amazing tool. The body is designed to heal itself when it's given the right environment, and our breath, because it controls everything that happens within the body. I mean, it controls all of our functions of the body. It can be such a powerful tool to utilize to heal.
Okay, great. Yeah, and one thing that I always like to touch upon when this is the topic of discussion is that because you are, maybe feel the need to utilize these techniques and things like that, it doesn't always mean that there has to be something wrong, right? It could be because you want everything to be better. There are plenty of people who aren't struggling or things, and maybe it's because they meditate, that that still practice daily or on a regular basis. It doesn't always have to be. We always talk about like in an athletic performance state, like the mindset, and you can work on mindset when your mindset's really good and improve it. It's not always from a negative spot. So if you're watching it and things are really good, they could really be better, and it just kind of enhances everything around it. So it's for everybody.
Yeah, it's great that you bring that up, because I talked to a few of my friends about this. I'm like, my life is awesome, my life is great. Like I wake up every day living the life I've wanted to live my whole life. I literally live my dream life, and I still do these practices. I still wake up and focus on my breathing because there is a health component to it, and I
Right.
want to keep my mental state at being awesome and feeling this high vibration. So I love to incorporate these practices, but there's also health components for our immune system and, just for continuing to raise our vibration and, even tap into spirit and, the flow and different vibrations. I mean, I didn't talk about all of that, but, utilizing these practices can do that as well.
We've got like another minute left. Let's just continue on that for a second, as we are the MedFit network, right? And the health aspect of it is, might be the most important part of it for our audience. Just explain that maybe a little bit more. What are some of the benefits of meditation that can see in the terms of health benefit?
Yeah, it's, research has been being conducted on meditation for the last several years, like really under the microscope looking at that. Because one of the things that they're finding is that meditation is as powerful and in some instances more powerful than medications. And that's across the board for high blood pressure, people who suffer from high blood pressure. We teach them how to meditate, their blood pressure is going to come down. If we teach people who are depressed how to meditate, they're finding that meditation is working better for depression than medication is. So when I was going through my suicidal depression, yes, I worked with a therapist, but I also went back to the ground floor of what I knew about meditation and retaught myself that from literally from zero. And, I came out in 7 or 8 months. It's also great for healing the body. Our body is made to heal itself when given the right environment, when given the right nutrients. And our mind also controls the body. So we can talk ourselves into a sickness or disease, or we can talk ourselves out of it. And I've utilized mostly visualization techniques along with breath work to heal different ailments that I've had in my body, and also to work with my mom when she was super sick as well last year. So, from a health benefit standpoint, it's really important to become in tune with our body enough to know what's going on. And then we can use these techniques and tools to really help us aid the healing along with other things as well.
It is a perfect way for us to sign off for today. Brianna, thank you so much. I love the topic. I, I have a very, very fun job here to host this webinar because I get to speak to people like you on topics that I enjoy very much. And thank you for really coming to us today from Costa Rica. Try and relax there today, all right, if you can for us. Try
Okay.
and relax. and and we thank everybody for coming in today to view this webinar.